Hello, my name's Rick and I'm one of the team members from The Honest Guys. In 2018, we did a series of live broadcasts over a course of 4 days where we played various tracks from our, at the time, new album called the Fantasy Worlds Collection. Now, after the broadcasts were over, we archived them, and here we are almost 2 years later. We've decided it's about the right time now to release them permanently. So over the course of April 2020, we're going to release all 4 of these videos, one a week as our usual Tuesday upload. Now the reason I'm here is just to let you know that some of the information contained within this video was done in the context of the live broadcasts back 2 years ago, so some of it is not accurate. For example, I make references to look out for tomorrow's video. Obviously that's inaccurate because we're going to be releasing these videos one a week every Tuesday over the course of April 2020. Now these videos are going to contain the broadcast in its entirety, and that even includes a little 2 minutes up front where everybody's joining the room. And I have to admit, when we did those broadcasts, well, almost 2 years ago now, it was quite exciting as we were broadcasting them, seeing people coming into the room, and everybody was sitting in this theatre situation, and it was quite fun when everybody was coming into the room and getting all excited waiting for the broadcast to start. And the little chat window was quite lively, and it was quite an exciting time for us as well. And that's all captured in the video that you're about to see. So I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you for watching. Please enjoy this presentation. Hello and welcome. You're listening to a live broadcast of The Honest Guys here on YouTube. This is the first in a series of live broadcasts that will take place over the coming days. During these live broadcasts, we will be airing some of the stories from our unique album, the Fantasy Worlds Collection. The album contains epic and high-quality guided visualizations and guided meditations set in fantasy environments. In today's broadcast, we're going to be airing 2 stories from the album. 1, an introduction to the world of Navarr, and 2, a guided visualization called Dragon Rider. These fantasy broadcasts will be starting in just a few minutes' time, So now would be a great time to think about getting yourself comfortable. Make sure you're not going to be disturbed for the next 40 minutes or so. And if you can do that, you'll hopefully get to really enjoy this fantasy visualization experience. Obviously, it goes without saying, do not drive or do anything that requires your concentration or will endanger you or others while listening to this. Do please listen through headphones if you can. You'll get a much better experience. So if you need to go and find your headphones, you've got a little bit of time before the audio begins. The guided meditations we've selected from the album to play in these live feeds are quite powerful, so it's best for these broadcasts to be enjoyed one track at a time. If we were to air the full album in one go, then probably about 95% of anyone listening will not be awake after the first couple of tracks, because the tracks can and likely will lull you into sleep. So in that spirit, we've decided the best approach was to play one main story for each live broadcast, so you can get to really enjoy and experience each one fully. Be sure to look out for notifications of more live broadcasts from the album that we will be airing over the coming days. Do please note that all of these stories from the Fantasy Worlds Collection album that you'll be hearing in these live broadcasts are not normally available freely on YouTube outside of these feeds. When this broadcast is over, there will not be an archived video available. These tracks are also not available on any of the streaming services like Spotify or Tidal. So if you decide you want to have access to these recordings so you can listen at any time, there is a link below to the album page. The only way you can legitimately obtain these particular recordings is through an album purchase, and that's from our official CD Baby, iTunes or Amazon stores. It's important to understand that purchasing this album really will help support us and enable us to continue doing what we do in creating new content. So album purchases are very important and are very, very much appreciated. Okay, are you ready? Let's begin, shall we? The first of the two tracks is a fairly short track titled An Introduction to the World of Navarr. Navarr is a growing fantasy world we've created as a setting for some of our present and future fantasy-based guided meditations and visualization stories. Navarr is a place of beauty, of vast mountains, rivers, lakes and forests, of deserts, jungles and glimmering seas. There are various realms that are home to many different races, including elves, halflings, humans, and dragons, among others. We've several pages on our website dedicated to Navarr, including backstory information and a map. And there is a link to the Navarr hub page in the notes below. The first three guided visualization recordings that are featured on the album, including today's track Dragon Rider, are located in Navarr, so you get a good feel for what it's like there. So, without further ado, here comes the first presentation, an introduction to the world of Navarr, and I'll be back at the end of it. Legends cling to our world like mist over a hidden valley, half concealing the truth. They cluster around ancient barrows and earthworks, linger in the cold shadows of standing stones, and crumble in misty rainforests. Humankind believed in other worlds that could still, in older times,
be reached. Ancient tales spoke of a land in the farthest west. People told of shining cities seen from high cliff tops and lands drowned by the sea. They believed that these other worlds could be reached at any margin, dawn and dusk, the edge of a stream, a seashore. These places were called liminal places. They were the boundaries, thresholds. But the human mind is the most liminal place of all. Long ago, the great forests were places of fear and mystery. In that time, beings and creatures that walked our world withdrew. Some of them had foresight and prophecies that humans would grow and spread across the planet, unearthing the secrets, places, cutting down the forests, leaving nowhere for the elder races to go. Some of these races proposed war, but they were already at war with an ancient darkness. And so they left, crossing into another world. The darkness followed them as they knew it would, leaving the world to humankind. The world they founded, formed with the power of their minds, was very like the one they had left behind. They named it Navarr. It was rich, varied, and beautiful. There were no humans there at the beginning, only beings like them who became, in our world, the stuff of myth and legend. Some of them built towers and great citadels, others melted into the forest and rivers, or rode the very winds. As the centuries turned, humans sometimes did cross into the world called Navarr, sometimes by accident, sometimes by the sheer power of their will to find somewhere else, a different, unspoiled world. Did I say unspoiled? Not entirely. The darkness that followed the elder races made a home for itself in the south, beyond a glittering ocean that became a place of shadows. Few cared to sail that sea, where strange mists arose and vicious reefs could smash a ship's timbers to matchwood. Where the darkness nested, the land became waste and desolation. From there, it sent out scouts, long fingers from its hand, to test its old enemies, who soon made alliance against it. But it was old and it was patient, and although the shadows gathered, the great towers still shone white. There was the sound of music and singing, and the summers were long and golden.
The main guided visualization story for today is called Dragon Rider. We think it's probably one of the best, most epic fantasy visualization stories we have created to date. Do bear in mind that this is not a guided meditation as such.
It is more an epic guided visualization, a fantasy story where you are the main character. It contains some pretty epic music and has a few quite loud moments, but the feedback we've received on it has been extremely good. It's possible you may or may not fall asleep by the end of it. To save waking you up in case you have fallen asleep, then this live broadcast will end quietly once the story has finished. Dragon Rider is about 34 minutes long. Do remember to look out for the notifications of more live guided visualization broadcasts from this album that we will be airing tomorrow or within the next few days. So that's it from myself, Rick, from Kevin and from Sean, who are the team who make up The Honest Guys. We hope to see you in the next live story broadcast, and in the meanwhile, we really hope you enjoy being immersed in this guided fantasy story coming up right now. This is Dragon Rider. Join us now on a guided visualization journey into a mythical place of fantasy and legend. To prepare for this journey of your mind, find a comfortable place where you'll not be disturbed, and sit or lie down. Make sure any tight clothing is loosened. Close your eyes and take a few long, deep breaths to help you relax and enjoy this fantasy experience. You are walking along a narrow path of dry, beaten earth. Around you stretches lush meadowland and full-leaved trees. Ahead of you, the land rises to hills. Beyond them, the bare peaks of great mountains. The nearest hills, however, vanish into a pearly mist. Odd, you think, on such a clear, bright day. There is a sense within you, deeper than thought, than instinct, that you need to get to those hills, that it's your goal, although you don't know why. But you feel eager, energetic, walking easily as if you could continue at this pace indefinitely. The path climbs gently to a wooded hillock. Within a bower of trees stands a stone well, and there are rustic wooden seats scattered in the shade, as if this is a spot where travellers rest for a time. And here you are not alone. There is a person standing near the well. Their clothing seems to come from another time. As they turn to look at you, you see that they are beautiful, almost impossibly so. Despite this, you feel no wariness. Their eyes are friendly, yet there is something behind them, like a storm trapped behind clear glass. They smile and bid you good day, in a voice like music. Then they lower the bucket into the well and draw it up. It overspills with clear, glittering water, and they use a dipper to scoop some up, offering it to you. The water looks as clean as anything from a tap or a bottle, and you sip it. It tastes clear, with a tang of stone, as if filtered through rock, and it sparkles on your tongue. You thank the person, who gestures to one of the wooden benches, and together you sit down. After a moment of silence, they ask you why you are on this path. A dream perhaps, or a vision. You point toward the hills, saying you believe you need to get to them, although you are unsure why. They smile like sunlight. It makes you feel warm, safe. Few come, they tell you, and you puzzle over the words. Their smile deepens, because few are chosen, they add. You were chosen, you ask? Why? They lean forward a little, the breeze stirring their hair. You think you were right about some power, some force behind their eyes that glow like jewels, yet it is not something that threatens you. There is light in you, they say. Courage, compassion, clear sight, and love. All the things that make you human, and more than human. You are unique and very special. You stare at them, perhaps not having thought of yourself like that ever before. But those gem-like eyes seem to look into you as no one else ever has. Their expression changes to something that holds a hint of sadness. No, they say, you do not realize what you are, what you are worth. You shine, they say, like a lantern of crystal. While you stare at them, they rise in a graceful movement. I will lead you, they say, if you wish. You begin to walk side by side. The air is soft, warm. The lovely, lonely land, sun-drenched and quiet. Your companion tells you that this path you follow is ancient, and you ask who uses it, as the countryside shows no sign of human settlement. They smile and say that it's kept open for those who wish to follow it, but that is now very few. In the meadows alongside, butterflies dance and bees hum. The mist-shrouded hills draw closer, the path leading directly up into them. You hesitate a moment, but your companion tells you all will be well. They stride forward into the mist which billows past you, yet is not cold as you would expect. Then, as the drapes of mist blow aside, you see enormous white walls rising up to vanish in the gloom. They are pierced by a huge gate, which is open, allowing you and your companion to walk through. You don't know what to expect, but there is no sight nor sound of anyone or anything. You are now walking upon a wide road which curves upwards. Your companion halts and turns to you. They gaze at you for a while, as if looking into your soul. Then they tell you to wait, and above all, not to fear. With those words, they walk on. The air shimmers with 1,000,000 points of light, growing, expanding, pushing aside the fog which vanishes as if it cannot bear the force of this strange, brilliant light. Within it, your companion shimmers. Their form seems to enlarge, to grow. The light solidifies until standing there before you is a vast, glittering dragon. Its body is minutely scaled in something like diamond or clear glass, but you can feel the warmth radiating from the massive body. The head, as large as an automobile, bends to look at you. The eyes are golden, brilliant, and you know them, or rather, the intelligence behind them. Do not be afraid, says the voice in your mind, calm and kind, speaking telepathically. sunlight blazes down, and you see the walls and towers you pass through, flinging stony arms about the space within, except for one gap that shows the peaks of the far-off mountains. And now, with flashes and gleams, other dragons appear. The colours of gems, of polished metals, graceful and immense. Their brilliant eyes regard you intelligently. You hear the invitation. Climb up. You lay a hand upon the diamond-bright hide, feeling it smooth under your fingers. The dragon reassures you that it is okay, and you step gently onto a great claw. Then climb up toward the base of its neck, where you sit. It is far more comfortable than you might have imagined. Fear nothing while I carry you, the dragon says, and then begins to move with a shift of muscle toward the gap in the walls. Beyond, you see, just for a moment, a cliff dropping away. And then the dragon leaps. You feel and hear the thunderous crack of wings spreading, the surge of air against you, and yet feel as comfortable and as safe as if sitting in an easy chair. The dragon is flying with mighty sweeps of its wings toward the mountains. Below you, hills are crumpled green like a quilt, rising toward fir forests that look like a spiky sea of deep green wrapped in floating mists. There is a great castle here, which passes far below you. The mountains, at first, a seemingly impenetrable barrier across the sky, drop below you in rugged slopes that become white with untouched snows. You know you should feel cold, but the dragon's heat seems to shield you. The highest spires of the mountains, blowing white cloaks, pass below you like a child's model, and you see the world beyond spread before you. A sense of exhilaration builds within you, an incredible feeling of freedom and power. Around you and behind you, other dragons fly, accompanying you, their wings scything the air, but your dragon leads, like the tip of an arrowhead. You see cold, blue mountain lakes, a waterfall that plunges 1,000 feet into seething foam. Rainbows shine in coloured crowns above the rush of the water. Green forests give way to hills dotted with sheep that seem unaware of the great shadows passing over them. Horses gallops like spirits of the wind. A river, perhaps the one from the mountains, curves through the green land, slower now, cattle grazing near its banks. You see villages, lonely houses. Here and there are larger fortresses standing proud over the land. Ahead of you glimmers the blue of the ocean, lapping white beaches. And then the land falls behind you, the sea in its shallows, an aquamarine blue, deepening to sapphire. A score of dolphins leap from it, as if playing a game on their own. A great ship with sails spread looks like a toy as it passes below. Clouds lie gently on the horizon, and you see the spout of water as a great whale breaks the surface of the ocean. Then more, and more of them. An incredible sight. Huge, gentle creatures in a world of unpolluted seas. How do you feel? The dragon asks you, a smile in its words. And you have no words to describe it, only your emotions. Because how does such freedom and safety feel? You stretch out your arms to the warm flow of the wind, feeling it rush through your fingertips. A feeling of exhilaration rises in you at the wonder, the glory of it, and you throw back your head, laughing. Ahead, you see the dark line of another land, but the dragon begins to bank and slowly turn, telling you that you can go there another time. You fly back toward the coast, seeing a small harbour town in a gap between high cliffs. A ship is sailing toward it. Then the cliffs pass beneath you, the rich land spreading below. From here, the mountains are distant white shapes that gradually grow larger in your vision under the tireless sweep of dragon wings. But there seems to be a storm brewing over them, and a terrible one. above the white peaks. Lightning forks, but the dragons do not slow. Then the clouds take on shape, as if the sky is filled with nightmare creatures. Despite the heat of the dragon, you become icy cold. What is it, you ask? Fear, the dragon tells you. Hate, anger, old memories you want to forget. Stop, you want to shout. Go back, get away. The nightmare storm fills the sky now, and from its darkness, cruel blazing eyes fix upon you. They are soulless, malevolent. Be at peace, the dragon says, reassuring you. It has no power over us, and none over you either, except the power you give it. Would you like us to banish it? Yes, you reply in the silence of your fear. Then watch, the dragon says. It slows, back winging, and you hear the deep inrush of air as it breathes in. All around you, you are aware of the other dragons poised, their vast wings beating. And then, fire. With a roar like 1,000 furnaces, white hot fire erupts from every dragon's throat. Huge flamethrowers of heat and light that burn into the storm, into the nightmare, like the power of the sun. You hear bellows and screams as the creatures of hate, of fear, anger, shrivel into nothingness, into wisps of smoke that vanish on the wind like the remnants of a dream. The sky is clear and clean again, a faultless blue. Your journey continues back in the warm airflow. Once again, you cross the mountains, see the great castle pass below you, in a blink of pillars, towers, green gardens. And then you see before you the enormous walls of the dragon's home. The dragon swoops in and lands very gently on the ground. Before you can climb down, it shimmers and reverts to human form again, helping you to stand. You can see now that the space where the dragons fly from is surrounded not just by walls, but by a huge castle. You are led inside and into a beautiful, comfortable room where you gratefully sit down on a very soft but ornately decorated couch. A welcoming fire crackles in the hearth. You ask them if they are humans or are they dragons. Both, they reply, smiling. Or perhaps neither. Or whatever we wish. They suggest you rest for a while and not to worry, because this is only your first journey here, not your last. They remind you to always remember you were chosen. The light of your spirit, your mind, shone out like a beacon, they say, and we saw it. You allow yourself to lay back on the couch, listening to the relaxing crackle and snap of the fire. Drowsiness falls on you, gently as falling leaves, and you begin to drift, feeling safe, feeling wonderful, because you were chosen for this experience. Because you do not need to do anything or prove anything. You are accepted just as you are.